Hello and welcome back to the Opposites Abroad podcast, a podcast about all things travel. Charlie Bosco here up in BC. TT joining me down in Denver, and you actually braved the air traffic control strike to travel internally within the United States. Where have you been recently?
I did. I got actually my flight back from Salt Lake City about a week and a half ago got canceled due to that, but this weekend I went to New Orleans and had no issues, so hopefully things are getting back to normal.
How does it work with the shutdown? Do they just reduce the number of flights to reflect the reduced number of air traffic controllers? And when the shutdown's over, does it just go back to normal straight away?
No, it didn't go back straight away because you've still got people, I think, that were calling in sick, and yeah, so that it's a combination, I think, of air traffic controllers and then TSA. So when the government shuts down, they're not getting paid, and then they start calling in. And then the ones that are still working get burnt out, and are working way too many hours. And especially with air traffic control, it's like that's not a job you want someone that's tired, that's working a ton of overtime doing.
No. TSA, of course, if you're not familiar, is I guess essentially security at airports and passport control. How does it work? Do they have to keep? Are they supposed to keep going to work even though they're not paid, and then they get back pay, or they just don't get paid?
They get back pay, yeah. And everyone, all the federal employees got back pay, even though the Trump had said they weren't going to. They got back pay anyways. And it's just so stupid because it's like you got all these federal agencies and they're off for 2.5 months, not working, and then they get paid for the 2.5 months at the end of it. And why not just keep them working that entire time?
That sounds quite logical, yeah.
So the government really needs to figure something out for these shutdowns so it doesn't happen where things like this is incredibly inefficient. And as soon as flights start getting canceled, then the public gets furious, and they're just not going to put up with it.
Yeah, don't get between Americans and their travel.
No, especially with Thanksgiving coming up, and you've got all these parents whose kids, like mine, are out of state and have to fly back and are worried whether they're going to get it. So the airlines, what they start doing is they start cutting all the little regional things first, and then they'll start, like, let's say they have 10 flights to Chicago a day, they'll cut 2 of them.
Yeah.
So it's just, but yeah, if you're going to some weird place from some other weird place, that's probably likely going to get canceled.
But yours was simple enough, getting down to New Orleans. Presumably it's a direct flight.
Yes. Yep.
How was traveling in the government shutdown?
It was fine. It was okay. I mean, I just go try to thank the people working at the airport for being there, but it was okay.
Okay. Oh, good. So, New Orleans, I've never been. It's high on the list. Would love to go and watch football down there, and I'd love to go to college football in Louisiana, and there's a ton of stuff I'd like to do in the Deep South. But what's New Orleans like? Because I think it's one of those places that everybody has a perception of what it would be like. But what's it really like?
You know, it's interesting. So when we talk about New Orleans, there's all these different areas, but we'll focus mostly on the French Quarter, which is what I think most people think of as New Orleans. And the French Quarter is the oldest part, one of the oldest parts of the United States, and the oldest part there. It's on higher ground. That's why it was the oldest. So it's not like during Katrina, the French Quarter didn't get wiped out. But it's just, for the United States, it's extremely, extremely historic and old. You think there's buildings there from the 1830s, and in Colorado, the oldest building that's not built by Native Americans, or the structure built by Native Americans, is built in like 1858, I think. So everything in the French Quarter is older than the youngest thing, or not the youngest, but then the oldest thing, I guess, in Colorado. It's very strange to think of when the French Quarter was really built up the way it is now. There's nothing out west, nothing.
Yeah, so it was one of the earliest settlements of the U.S. What's it like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it feel like?
So when you think of the French Quarter, so there's 3,500 residents in the French Quarter. It's very small. You can walk from one end to the other.
3,500?
3,500.
That doesn't seem enough.
Yeah. So, yeah, 3,500 residents. You can walk from one end to the other in about 10 minutes. It's a very small area, and it gets about 17 million visitors a year. So there's really not a lot of places in the world like that. Venice, maybe, that aren't super gigantic, that get millions upon millions of visitors without a lot of residents, which I find very interesting.
Like Epstein's Island, I guess.
Yes, probably. Probably exactly like that.
Yeah, exactly. No one lives there, but they get an awful lot of visitors. That's
I know.
Finding out.
I wonder who lives there now. I wonder. That'd be a weird sell. Like,
well, people get into that visiting old buildings, don't they? Like one of my old schools got abandoned, and it's really popular for whatever. I can't remember. There's a name for it when you go and explore kind of creepy old buildings.
Oh, like urban archaeology or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
sorry, go on.
Now, people think of New Orleans as Bourbon Street, which is like the crazy party part of the French Quarter, but it's really only a few blocks long, and that is like a crazy party area. But you leave that area and you go to other parts around there, and it's just very historic, old, like classic French restaurants, just completely different. So, and I would encourage people when they go there, don't just go to Bourbon Street and hang out with all the college students and stuff. Go explore some of the other old stuff, because there's like some of the oldest bars in the United States are there. The oldest family-owned restaurant, which I went to, has been owned by the same family since 1740.
What's that called?
Antoine's, and it's French food, and it's like very old school French food with like lobster thermidor, and it's just then the waiters wear tuxedos, and it's really, really cool. New Orleans is also one of the only places in the United States where you can openly drink alcohol. Vegas is that way, but there's not many places like that. So you can, as long as you don't have it in glass, you can take a cocktail or you can take beer, and you can walk around anywhere in the French Quarter specifically with alcohol.
Is that illegal in a lot of the states? I guess I never really thought about wandering around with a beer. Is that illegal in most of the states?
Yeah, you can't walk around with like open containers of alcohol. Some places you can like have beer in parks, but Vegas, New Orleans, and there might be one or two other little tiny areas in the United States are the only places that you can do that.
I did not know that. I'm now wondering what the rule is in Canada.
It's probably similar.
Yeah, I guess so. I've definitely broken that rule at trailheads after climbing or something, but I guess, you don't wander around a city with a beer. So, well, I mean, what else would you recommend in New Orleans? So you said the French Quarter, Bourbon Street, kind of worth the hype, famous, but what else? You said people should get outside those famous areas. Where should they go?
I don't know that you necessarily have to leave the French Quarter that much. There's a garden district. There's other little areas around there. Cool. The garden district's more like old historic mansions. But you when you think of New Orleans, you think of the French Quarter. You think of the jazz music. You think of the it's actually more Spanish architecture, even though it's called the French Quarter. The original French buildings were all wood, and they burned down in the 1830s in a big, huge fire, and were replaced by more Spanish style with all the ornate balconies and things that you think of as more Spanish. But walking around those areas, going out to eat, going out to drink, listening to jazz music, that's really the main thing. There's shops, and there's the oldest cathedral in the United States is in Jackson Square, which is right in the heart of that area. So it's just old stuff for the United States, and a really dark history. There's the slave trade went through there. So there was slave areas and pens and stuff that no longer exist. There's ghost stories, and there was pirates that were out of there. Like even some of the bars that are still there in buildings from the 1700s, there pirates actually drank there and stuff. And it's just a really, really cool place, because one thing is the United States lacks is a lot of history in some ways, and there's just not places like that. There really aren't.
Okay. What is it like? Go on.
Well, I was just say too, it's so historic. You can't build it or update anything in there. So it's like and I feel like it's one of those the old saying like money doesn't give you taste. And if they didn't have those historic preservations, there'd be rich people going in there and tearing down 200-year-old buildings and building modern skyscrapers and just destroying it. So it's really cool how you really can't change anything. And if you look at old newsreels or read old books or watch old movies, it looks exactly like it looked 100 years ago.
That's great because I know it's quite a North American, maybe it's everywhere in the world, but it's quite an American thing to tear stuff down and put up some McMansion. I remember when we were driving through Denver a while, not on my last trip, but one time I was down there with you, and there was a really interesting house. It was like a round house.
Yes, the Sleeper
you know
House
is
what they call it, because it was in the Woody Allen movie Sleeper.
And didn't they knock it down and just put some...
No, they didn't. But
box?
it's been built up all around it. When I was a kid, it was way out in the middle of nowhere, and it was like super stark when you saw it. Or the Flying Saucer House is another term people used to call it. Now it's been built up around it, and they did do an addition in the back of it, but I think they used the son of the original architect to keep it kind of historically accurate. But there's been a lot of other old mansions and stuff that have been all torn down for sure.
Yeah, and the Oval Office is now primarily gold. Which...
Yes, and the East Wing, where a lot of important things in history happened, has been torn down. So yeah, but that's again somebody with money that doesn't have any taste.
Yeah, exactly. Money also can't buy class in that case. So what is it like culturally, socially? Because obviously Louisiana generally is blood red Republican, but the cities in America tend to be kind of liberal Democrat-y. What is Louisiana's biggest city like culturally, socially?
I would say very liberal. If there's pride flags everywhere.
Oh, really?
Transgender flags. It is not it's not a Republican type place. And I'm sure there's that aspects of it, but it's probably like most places. Rural is going to be Republican or red, and then the city's going to be more blue. But it's when you walk around, it's pretty evident that it's not super conservative. And it's known for Mardi Gras and giant parties and Fat Tuesday and these crazy things. You know, that's even though I'm not saying people that are really, really conservative don't party and don't enjoy things like that, but it tends to be more people who support gay rights and women's rights and stuff that enjoy that kind of stuff. Yeah,
I don't think you see many MAGA hats at Mardi Gras.
No, and you don't see any of that stuff in there. None. But
okay.
Rural, but I'm not an expert in Louisiana, and I assume rural. You go way out into the middle of nowhere in Louisiana, you probably see MAGA hats, but you certainly don't there.
Oh, I'm sure you do, yeah. But I mean, is it safe to walk around? It's going to be quite sketchy parts of New Orleans, right?
It can be quite sketchy. The tourist places are fine. You've got to be careful, especially if you get a block or two off of the French Quarter in some directions, and it starts looking a lot different. And then there's quite a few homeless people. There's a bunch of people hanging out on the streets. Even in the touristy areas, it's just a place to be really careful. Like I wouldn't have a wallet in my back pocket. There's no way I wouldn't if I was a woman. I wouldn't like carry a clutch going to dinner. Like I'd have a crossbody. It's like being in, I don't know, a older part of London or Paris or more than you typically think of the United States. And I would be very careful.
But it's a place.
I just wouldn't go wandering off. Like it's just not a place to go wandering down streets and alleys and at night. Like this is not a place. But during the day, I think it's fine. I wouldn't wander into the big cemeteries and stuff. I'd be very cautious of that. Not because of ghosts and stuff, but there can just be people in them, and I would be careful. I think it's okay. I don't think it's a great place for kids. Like if I'm looking for like a vacation to take kids on, I don't think I would take them there. It's too adult.
Yeah, no, I get that. You don't want your kids into it. I want to go out and get a buzz on and go to all the bars and have a good time.
Yeah.
No, I get that. And also partly the ghosts in the cemeteries. I was listening to you thinking that definitely it's kind of half ghosts and half the people that are going to mug you. But it's a place you're going to get to know pretty well by the sound of things.
Yes, hopefully. So I went down there to look at vacation homes, and I'm under contract right now for one built in 1855. Um, that is just I'm super excited. It's just such a cool place to go and read or write, and then I'm a block from this super cool bar that's like a nautical themed bar that only serves burger and steaks and kind of like tiki drinks. And there's like a celebrity lives in the house like right behind, where I'm under contract. And it's just it's just a place that you normally wouldn't expect to have a vacation home at. um, One thing that people don't realize is down there Airbnbs and short-term leases are illegal.
Right.
So the which really keeps a lot of options open, because you're not getting people investors going down there and trying to buy a bunch of properties and then Airbnb them for Mardi Gras and for the parties, because you can't do it. So you either have to live in it, have it as a vacation home, or long term rent it to someone like full time. Those are really your only options. And what happened was a lot of people during COVID bought places in the French Quarter because it's just such an awesome place, and they were like, I can work from home in the French Quarter, and I can go to bars, and I can go watch jazz music, and I can go to fancy French restaurants, and then I'll go back and do my work from my place in the French Quarter. Well, they all got called back to places like California,
Yeah.
and they're not going to stay in Louisiana making Louisiana wages. So then they have empty places that they can't Airbnb, and it's actually a really good buyer's market down there because of that.
So you're not planning to rent yours?
No, I'm going to use it strictly as a vacation home. So I had a condo in Myrtle Beach a few years ago that was I bought as a vacation home, and then also to like Airbnb it out to make some money. And at the time, it seemed like a really good idea, and I actually made pretty good money off of it because the market went up. But I learned some valuable lessons from that, and one of the lessons I learned is that Airbnb is a big pain in the ass. And I had I had someone down there handling it, so I didn't have to deal with it. But it's like I bought this condo. It's like oceanfront. It was one bedroom. You'd walk out on a balcony, and the ocean was right there. It was like the best view ever, like $1 million view. And when I bought it, I wanted it to be nice, so I did had old popcorn ceilings. I had those taken down. I put new tile in it. I replaced all the furniture. I painted it, like got it super super nice. And then I did stuff like I got books and games for people wanted to use when they were there. I got a really nice leather book that people could sign and be like, I'm from, Manchester, whatever they wanted to put. And then it's like the next time I went down there, someone stole that book. They had someone had stolen like a picture off the wall. I had an owner's closet, which is kind of a pain in the ass, but it's like you have it locked with a key, and then when you're not there, you put your stuff in it, and then when you go there for your vacation or your time in your place, you open up the owner's closet and put all your stuff out, because you can't leave, like, of course, clothes and your clothes and stuff when you're Airbnb in it. You have to have it pretty much empty like a hotel. Someone like picked the lock one time and like to get into it that was staying in it, and they didn't steal anything from it because there's nothing really of value in it. But I came out of that whole experience, and you get there and there's like weird like scrapes on the walls, or like a chair, like a leg on the chair is broken, and you're like, what in the world are people doing in there? But they don't look at it like this is someone owns this, and this isn't like owned by Hilton. This is owned by like an actual person. They try to make it look nice, and I should respect it. Like I would want them to respect my home. They don't look at it that way. They go there and they just trash it. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. We ended up selling it because I didn't want to. I didn't. I just the market went up, and it was just kind of became not worth it. But I was like, I am not doing this again. Like I want a place that's strictly a vacation home that maybe I have a friend staying in it for free, if they're going on vacation there. But I'm not letting every weird person that I've never met in my place to trash it. So it's actually awesome because like the place I'm under contract for, built in 1855, it has original floors from 1855. It has original doors from 1855. It's been completely redone. It's gorgeous, and I don't want someone in there trashing it.
And what is it? A house? A condo?
It's a condo, but when you hear condo in the French Quarter, it basically means it's an old mansion that's been divided up into condos probably 100 years ago.
Okay.
So this is a mansion, that 3-story mansion. The top floor has 2 condos, and this is one of them. It was originally, the top floor is originally like where wet nurses lived and would like take care of the kids. When the mansion was actually a functioning full mansion, and in this big mansion, there's basically 6 condos built into it, and that's the way they all are. I mean, and there's either that or there's full mansions that have never been split up that are like millions and millions and millions of dollars to buy, and those are kind of your 2 options there. And most things are built after that big fire. Most things there are built between like 1830s to late 1850s, like before the Civil War. Everything was rebuilt in that kind of Spanish style, and that's what this is. And this mansion is actually Greek Revival, which was like 1830 to 1860, which was a style in the United States when they were really emulating Greek culture because of they looked up to it for like kind of a predecessor to democracy and stuff like that, and it's kind of from that area. So it's really cool. I'm super excited. I'm going to go out in January and get it furnished and start putting stuff in it and stuff. But it's really cool. It'll be so fun going there and sitting and reading a book and in this place that's 170 years old.
Oh, that's awesome. And what's the experience been like I mean, how does one go? Sadly, my finances don't permit me to worry about such things. What's the process like of finding a vacation home, finding somewhere you want to be?
So I think that's a good question. So last time when I went to Myrtle Beach, it's because I went to Myrtle Beach as a kid with my mom and her side of family's from North Carolina, and they would vacation she would in the 60s in Myrtle Beach, and I went there and I had really, really fond memories of it. So I think it's a place that you have a connection to, and then a place that's in your price range. You know, I love like Hollywood, which you and I went together.
Yeah.
You cannot, a 1-bedroom condo in Hollywood's probably $1 million or $1.2 million.
No, really?
Oh yeah, it's insanely expensive. Or you look at like Aspen, it's gonna be some millions of dollars for like a little condo. Yeah. So you kind of, and then you look at places when you're like, well, you could go into the middle of Missouri and buy a place for $50,000, but then you're like, I don't want to live in Missouri. So it's kind of what you want to do too. If you're really like you would like New Orleans from the aspect of you like bars and you like food and the history and stuff, but there's not like a lot of nature there, which you do like. So it's kind of like, what do you have and what do you not have? Well, now you have a house that's more nature based, so maybe you would like something that's not as nature based for a vacation home. For me, I live in Denver, and I'm not like downtown Denver, so I really wanted a place that I could walk to cool restaurants and bars, because I don't really have that where I live. Yeah. I can do a little bit of that, but it's not like New Orleans, where I could spend the rest of my life there and never go to all the bars that I could walk to from that place. Like,
wow,
really? There's that much stuff there. It's just insane. It's so dense, like Europe is, that you just can't do it. And I started thinking, where do I want to be? And I thought, you either go to, I'd rather want to be on an ocean or a lake, or a place that I can walk to a bunch of cool stuff, and like an old downtown. Those are kind of the 3 things I wanted. And I just got online and started really looking at stuff, and I'd already had a beach place, and there's other issues with the beach. Like, you're right on the ocean. The hurricane insurance is crazy. You really can't have like a lot of normal furniture because the sea air goes in and ruins everything. So you have to have like very industrial furniture if you're right on the ocean a lot of times. I wasn't super excited about that. I've got a lot of antiques from my grandparents I wanted to use in a vacation home, antique furniture and stuff, and I can't do that on the beach. A lake is great, but you really can't walk on the beach on a lake, and if you don't have like a dock with a boat, all you can really do is sit there and look at the lake, and Then there's issues with mosquitoes and stuff that you don't get at the beach, and it's so you just kind of have to. I think you go through a list of what you really value. Some people, their ideal would be a cabin in the middle of nowhere. That would be like their ideal. I would go crazy with that. I'd be so bored. But some people, that's what they want, and I can have solitude there because I have solitude in my place. Because I look at stuff like Mardi Gras. I can now go to Mardi Gras, stay in my condo, get dressed up or do whatever I want to do, make a drink in my condo, go to the bathroom in my condo, walk to see all the crazy stuff in the parades, and then when I neither need another drink or I want to go to the bathroom, I don't have to like wander around like everybody else looking for a bar or try to wait in line. I just walk back to my condo. And I go to the bathroom and I make another drink and then I walk back to it. And then if I'm tired, I just go to bed. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to pay, even though it's expensive owning it. I don't have to deal with like trying to rent a place when everyone else in the world wants to be there. It's like renting a place for the Super Bowl or something. I already have my place, so it's cool. And then the condo too. It has a pool, which is very rare for the French Quarter. So I can go out to the courtyard behind it, and there's a pool, and I can sit and read and have a little bit of peace and quiet while it's just chaos all around it. So I think for me that's kind of what it is. But if someone listening is thinking about getting a vacation home, I think you just have to really get a little pragmatic about it and not just completely go with your heart. But the heart is definitely an aspect of it too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean. I just had a look on Google Maps. The other thing that's would be cool is to drive down there one time.
It would. The problem is like there's no parking.
Oh, you don't have parking at the place.
There's no parking anywhere in that area, really. So you'd have to basically, if you drove down there, you'd have to like unload your stuff and then basically pay out in somewhere away from that area to park your car and leave it. It's not, you can't just like park it and then go drive it around whenever you want. And even if you could park on the street like a couple blocks away, I don't know that I would recommend doing that down there. I think you're likely to have it broken into or stolen if you have a nice car sitting out there for a long time. It's more a place you go and you take an Uber and you just walk around everywhere. And the French Quarter is like, it's like driving in New York City.
You just don't want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the streets are hundreds of years old. They're narrow. There's no real parking. It's just not. There's tons of pedestrians. It's just not a place to like drive around. Or you're better off, going there and then renting a car when you're there and then driving, to whatever you want to do.
All right, scrub that idea. But no, I think the point you make about you can't have everything is so true. Yes. I've found that kind of scouting around for somewhere to live, and there are 100 things that would be nice to have in the place you live, but you can't live next to a lake and be quiet and be walking distance to a city and have an international airport and have a small town feel and all these things. You just can't. There is nowhere that could tick all those boxes.
No.
It's literally impossible.
It's literally impossible. And even like looking at condos there, unless you have unlimited money, and if you have unlimited money, you can. There's nothing's a problem.
You can just buy two, can't you? Buy one in Aspen, you buy one in
New
Orleans.
Yeah. There's nothing. But in New Orleans, it's like. So you're looking for a condo. Well, ideally, you want something that's easy access to get to, has a really nice courtyard. You'd probably prefer to have a pool. Ideally, you'd love to have like a nice balcony. A balcony overlooking one of the streets is even better. You want it to be historic, but modern, modernized inside where it's usable, but modernized in a way that didn't destroy the historic charm. Yeah. So there's all this stuff, and you start going down there, and it's like you can get most of those things, but you can't get everything. So you have to think of, okay, am I okay not having a balcony? Or I can get a balcony, and then the place is like super weird inside, or I can get a balcony and everything needs to be updated, or they've put some horrible cheap veneer flooring down, or and you just kind of have to do it. And I think any kind of places like that, and that's okay. Or you realize too, like these buildings are 170 years old. You're not going to get modern closet space.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and people don't understand that, and and you have to kind of even have a pep talk with you or your partner when you go down there. Like, hey, just remember when we're going down there, these places are 170 years old, and they're not going to have everything you want,
Yeah.
and they're not going to have everything I want, and it's okay. Like, we'll figure it out. Like, that's part of the charm of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. You're not there the whole time, and it's supposed to be different. There's no point just buying your house again. You might as well just stay in your house. It's supposed to be different. It's supposed to be a contrast.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
I looked at one place and it was right outside the French Quarter, and I don't know if something had burned down or what had happened, but it looked like an old place, but like the rest of them. And I went in and I was like, wow, this is really nice and updated. And I asked the realtor, I said, what year is this built? Because that's like important to me. And he goes, oh, this is built in the 1960s, or no, he said 1990s, I think. And I said the 1990s. He said, yeah, it's not really old. This is just built to look old. And I was like, okay, bye. like I don't want that. Like, I don't want to go down and live in like in a fake historic building. And some people might really like that because they're like, you know what,
yeah.
it's modern, it's got bigger closets, it's got modern plumbing, like everything's, you know. And for me, I was like, that destroys the entire charm of the whole thing to me. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't want to do that.
No, I get that. I get that. I think it's cool that you've done it. I think it's great, and you don't have to keep it forever. You can just do it till you've had enough, and then sounds like it's been a good time to buy and
Yeah, it'll be fun. I think we
ship
should
it on and get another one somewhere else.
No, that's probably it. I don't even know. I mean, you know, it's like we're so busy. You and I are so busy. Like, how much time do you actually have to go fly somewhere and to stay in a vacation home? But I have the ability to, and you know, if you ever want to go out there, if we have a place that we could stay. It's just, and then when I retire for real, I'd love to go out there because it's cold in Colorado, like for all of January, all of February, and hang out in Louisiana where it's nice.
That'd
And
be so cool. Do they get a winter? Anything like? Do you need a sweater at night in winter, or is it?
that's a good question. All I know is it's warmer than here, and it's not going to snow a bunch. But I think some parts of the South can get fairly cool, but I don't think it's like cold where it's not enjoyable.
I suspect when you're on the Gulf of Mexico, I will not adopt this ridiculous new name for it.
Yeah,
When you're on the Gulf of Mexico, I can't imagine it gets
that
cold.
bad. It gets
I
hot
mean,
in the summer,
I bet it gets hot in the summer,
brutally
but
hot. But I don't plan on being there in like August really. But it's
I
got
I can't imagine it gets any colder than maybe needing a sweater at night.
yeah. Well, and that's one of the nice things about this one is it has central air just for that unit.
Right.
And some that I looked at, they had just like some would have like no air, or they have like little wall mounted or window mounted air conditioning unit, and you'd fry in the summer out there with that. And the real estate agent was like, you really want central air down here, like you don't want one of these with the window unit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's not going to be livable. You can't sleep in winter. In summer
yeah,
if you don't have.
no, unless you're maybe if
Something.
you're like grew up with it and you're from there and you're used to it, but normal people can't handle that.
God, I can't sleep in British Columbia in July. So if I don't have aircon, so
Yeah.
I can't imagine I'd sleep in Louisiana. Okay, cool. Well, I'm super excited for you. I think it's great. Yeah, as ever, you're one of those people that if they want to do something, they just go and do it. And I always admire that. So,
Thank you. Yeah, if anyone,
yeah.
if people follow me on Instagram at Traveler Tattooed, and you're thinking about getting a vacation home and you want my thoughts, and I'd be happy to give you some of my thoughts because I learned a big lesson from the first time I tried to do it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No, I have to say you're not the first person who said to me, short-term rentals are not all they're cracked up to be.
no, and
So-
you really don't make as much money as you think because
No, by the time you take out the fees and tax and maintenance and repairs, and I've heard exactly the same thing.
yeah. Well,
Um,
let's say you were in it. Just keep this going for a couple more minutes. Let's say you know your mortgage is $3,000, on a place, and you're trying to get your money back. Well, then on top of that, you've got taxes, which are probably $500 a month. You've got insurance, which is probably another $500 a month. You could have HOA fees, which could be another $500 a month. You've got repairs, and it just really, really adds up. And then when you short-term lease it, then that company takes anywhere from 10 to 50% of your money that's actually renting it out. And then on top of that, you've got to pay taxes on your income. So it's like yeah, you can make good money, and you have something where you inherited it, or you got it for a really good deal, or it's a really, really popular touristy place that rents consistently for a bunch of money. You can make a lot of money, and you can pay off your mortgage or help pay it off. But you get something that's not like that. Like when I had my one in Myrtle Beach, there were some months in the summer I'd make a ton of money, and then there was like one time it was like 6 months where I didn't make anything in the winter because they had booked like a long-term person, like a snowbird kind of thing that was going to go stay there for the winter, that canceled right before. And then and then there was nobody else that filled in that slot because anybody else that was going to go there and snowbird already had places rented. So for like 6 months I made nothing off the thing, and it just sat there. And it wasn't a place, and I didn't buy it for that. I didn't go into it the mindset that this thing's going to sit and I'm going to use it whenever I want to. I bought it as an investment, and it's just you really have to crunch the numbers on this stuff before you do it if you're going to Airbnb it. Like really crunch it.
I remember listening to a financial advisor, and he just said, anyone who says I'm going to buy a property, let it out short term, and that's going to pay the mortgage, so it's effectively building
Equity.
my equity for free. He goes, no one who's ever owned a short-term rental has ever said those words. They are the words said by someone who's never done it.
Yeah.
For exactly what you said. And then your next thing you know, COVID hits.
Yes.
Or the next thing you know, there's a hurricane. Or the boiler fails. The furnace fails, and you're on the hook for 15 grand. To me, if I was going to buy a vacation property and let it out short term, I would only do it if I could afford to cover all the costs with no income at all from it, because otherwise you just betting the farm on something that really could not work out, might not work out.
Yeah.
So,
or you're there and you don't really work, or you have someone in your family that doesn't really work or have time, and they can go clean it and check on it and take care of everything, and then you're making that extra percentage.
Yeah.
It's really
or you buy it cash.
Yeah, or you buy it cash. Yeah.
If you buy it cash and you've only got the maintenance and insurance, you could contemplate it being a source of revenue. But yeah, I think you're right. Mortgage, insurance, rates, maintenance, repairs, HOA. I just don't see how many people come out of these things making a profit. But maybe they do. But I certainly never met one.
Well, and then you go down there to use it, and it doesn't feel like your place because not all your stuff's out, because you can't put your stuff out because people will steal it or destroy it. So you don't have like family pictures up. You don't have your stuff in the drawers, and then your first few hours are like taking stuff out of your owner's closet and trying to make it feel like it's your place. And then you know that just yesterday some other weird people were sleeping in your bed, and you're wandering around seeing what they destroyed, or you're annoyed that they scraped the floor or whatever it is. And it's just I think it's okay. It's just I don't really want to do that stuff.
I get that.
I'd rather have a vacation home or have a rental that people just live in full time.
Yeah, I'm with you. So they've outlawed Airbnbs in most of BC as well, so even if I wanted to do it, realistically it's not feasible here. So
that's another big problem, is you buy something, you start doing it, and then they ban them.
Yeah, well, I know someone who did that. They own an apartment in downtown Kelowna, our city, and they were letting it out. Happy days, because Kelowna's super popular. It's it's by far the hottest, driest place in Canada, and a lot of people come here on vacation, especially from Alberta, it seems. And they were actually one of the few people I know that was doing well off Airbnb, and then they outlawed Airbnb. Well, short-term rental, which effectively means Airbnb. Yeah. And they cannot offload it. And obviously the other problem is the value of it's plummeted 20%.
Oh, I'd say at least I would imagine if New Orleans, specifically the French Quarter, allowed Airbnb, the properties would double in value. Especially not the $5 million mansions, because you can't do that, but the smaller condos and stuff, they would double in value because people would look at it like, well, I can start renting it and making money on it. So when you don't have it, it's a good buyer's market because then you can go in there and buy, but you really take a big chance if they ever change that and there's somewhere else.
Yeah, you're doing it the right way around. Buy it while it's banned, and then if they suddenly permit it, then
they'll never
days.
do that. Now, out of the French Quarter, they do stuff where it's like every block can have like one, and you have to like do like a lottery system to try to get like a license to do it. Like other neighborhoods in New Orleans. But what a pain in the ass, and I don't want to deal with that. And then what happens if you get you get it 1 year, and the next year you don't get it, and it's just like I don't want to deal with it.
No, I get it. Well, hey, I actually got to go, which is annoying because I'm enjoying talking about your vacation rental. But yeah, I've actually got some travel of my own coming up, by the way, soon.
Where?
I'm going to the Netherlands, southern Netherlands, in the middle of December. So,
that's fun.
Yeah, let's see. maybe I'll get back and I'll say, you know what, I had so much fun.
I'm buying a place.
I'm buying a place. Or let's do a podcast on it. But I think I'll get back and say, yeah, it rained a lot, but we got the work done, so it's all good.
Yeah.
But let's see. You never know. Might end up being super interesting. I might have a weekend in Amsterdam, so if I end up doing that at the end of the trip, then maybe we could talk about that.
I've been to Amsterdam. We can talk about Amsterdam.
No, I've been to Amsterdam. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, easy place to get led astray. But yeah, I'll see. I'm not even sure I'm going to stay in Amsterdam. I know the trip's a little bit up in the air, but yeah, got a bit of travel coming up, so hopefully we can debrief on that. But yeah, interesting to hear about it and super fun to think we might go down there. Once we get off air, I'll get the address off you.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, man.
Okay.